Hey there, science fans! Welcome back to another exciting episode where we dive deep into the fascinating world of genetics. Remember Gregor Mendel, the pea-obsessed monk who laid the groundwork for genetics? His meticulous experiments with pea plants in the mid-1800s were revolutionary. We talked about him last time, exploring how his work set the stage for modern genetics. Mendel's laws explained how traits like flower color in his peas pass from parents to offspring. He discovered that these traits follow specific patterns. He found that traits are determined by genes, passed down from each parent. These genes are like tiny instruction manuals for our bodies. Each gene has different versions called alleles. These alleles can vary, leading to different traits. These alleles can be dominant or recessive. Dominant alleles mask the effect of recessive ones, which only show up if both alleles are recessive. Dominant alleles always show their effect even if there's only one copy. Remember the Punnett squares? They help us visualize how alleles combine. Those handy grids helped us predict the probability of an offspring inheriting specific traits. They are a powerful tool in understanding genetic inheritance. Mendel's work was groundbreaking, but it turns out inheritance is way more complicated. His principles were just the beginning. Buckle up because we're diving into the wild world of non-Mendelian genetics. Get ready to explore how traits can be influenced by multiple genes, environmental factors, and even random mutations. It's a thrilling journey into the complexities of heredity. Mendel's laws work great for simple traits, like those pea flower colors. When Gregor Mendel conducted his experiments with pea plants in the mid-1800s, he discovered that traits like flower color and seed shape followed specific patterns of inheritance. These patterns were straightforward and predictable, leading to the formulation of what we now call Mendel's laws of inheritance. These laws laid the foundation for the field of genetics, and helped scientists understand how traits are passed from one generation to the next. But not all traits follow such simple rules. As scientists delved deeper into the study of genetics, they discovered that many traits are influenced by multiple genes and environmental factors. This complexity means that the inheritance of these traits doesn't always fit neatly into Mendel's laws. For example, traits like human height, skin color, and susceptibility to certain diseases are controlled by multiple genes interacting with each other and with the environment. Sometimes genes interact in more complex ways. These interactions can involve multiple genes working together to produce a single trait, or a single gene influencing multiple traits. This phenomenon is known as polygenic inheritance and pleiotropy, respectively. Additionally, some genes can modify the effects of other genes, leading to even more intricate patterns of inheritance. This is where non-Mendelian inheritance comes in. Non-Mendelian inheritance encompasses a variety of genetic phenomena that don't conform to Mendel's laws. These include incomplete dominance, codominance, multiple alleles, and mitochondrial inheritance. Each of these patterns adds a layer of complexity to our understanding of genetics and demonstrates the diversity of ways in which traits can be inherited. Non-Mendelian inheritance refers to any pattern of inheritance where traits don't follow Mendel's laws. For instance, in incomplete dominance, the offspring's phenotype is a blend of the parent's phenotypes rather than one being dominant over the other. In codominance, both alleles are expressed equally in the phenotype. These patterns show that inheritance can be much more nuanced than Mendel initially described. This doesn't mean Mendel was wrong, his laws are still super important. Mendel's work provided the essential framework for understanding genetic inheritance. Without his pioneering experiments, we wouldn't have the foundation upon which modern genetics is built. His laws apply to many traits and are fundamental to the study of genetics. It just means there's more to the story. The field of genetics has expanded far beyond Mendel's initial discoveries, revealing a rich tapestry of genetic interactions and inheritance patterns. Scientists continue to uncover new mechanisms of inheritance that add depth to our understanding of how traits are passed down through generations. Think of it like this: Mendel gave us the basic recipe for baking a cake. His laws are like the fundamental ingredients, flour, sugar, eggs, that are essential for making a cake. These basic components are crucial, but they are just the starting point. But what about all the other delicious cakes out there? Just as there are countless variations of cakes, each with unique flavors and decorations, there are numerous ways in which genetic traits can be inherited. These variations make the study of genetics endlessly fascinating and complex. Non-Mendelian inheritance is like adding frosting, sprinkles, and maybe even some fruit to create a whole new level of deliciousness. These additional elements represent the diverse and intricate patterns of inheritance that go beyond Mendel's basic recipe. They enhance our understanding of genetics and show us that the inheritance of traits is a dynamic and multifaceted process. We're about to explore some of these fascinating exceptions, so get ready for some genetic surprises. As we dive into the world of non-Mendelian inheritance, we'll uncover the complexities and marvels of genetic diversity. Stay tuned for an exciting journey through the intricate web of genetic inheritance. Let's start with incomplete dominance. Imagine mixing red and white paint. You'd expect pink, right? That's incomplete dominance. Neither allele is fully dominant, so they blend together. One example is snapdragon flower color. A red snapdragon crossed with a white snapdragon doesn't produce red or white offspring. Instead, we get pink snapdragons. This happens because the allele for red pigment isn't completely dominant over the allele for no pigment. The heterozygous offspring get one of each allele, resulting in a blend, pink flowers. Incomplete dominance shows us that inheritance isn't always about one allele completely masking the other. Sometimes it's more like a compromise, leading to a beautiful blend of traits. Now imagine both the red and white paint wanting equal representation. That's codominance. Both alleles are expressed equally, creating a mosaic or spotted pattern. The classic example? Human blood types. We have A, B, AB, and O blood types. The A and B alleles are codominant. This means if you inherit an A allele from one parent and a B allele from the other, you have type AB blood. Both A and B antigens appear on your red blood cells. Codominance shows us that sometimes genes don't have to compete for dominance. They can share the spotlight, resulting in both traits being expressed simultaneously. Hold on tight, because things are about to get a bit more complex. We've talked about traits controlled by one gene with two alleles. But many traits are influenced by multiple genes, each with its own set of alleles. This is called polygenic inheritance. Think of it like this: your height isn't determined by just one tall or short gene. Instead, many genes contribute to how tall you are. Skin color is another great example. With polygenic inheritance, we see a wide range of variation in a trait. Instead of just 2 or 3 distinct possibilities, we get a spectrum. This explains why we see so much diversity in human height and skin color. Section 6. When genes go wrong. Genetic disorders. Genetic disorders are conditions caused by abnormalities in the genetic material within our cells. These abnormalities can range from a single mutation in one gene to complex interactions between multiple genes and environmental factors. Now let's talk about when things go wrong with our genes. Our genes are the blueprints for our bodies, and when these blueprints have errors, it can lead to various health issues. These errors or mutations can be inherited from our parents or occur spontaneously. Sometimes mutations or changes occur in our DNA. These changes can be as small as a single nucleotide alteration or as large as a deletion or duplication of entire sections of DNA. The impact of these mutations can vary widely, from benign to causing serious health conditions. These changes can lead to genetic disorders. Genetic disorders can manifest at any stage of life, from birth to adulthood, and can affect any part of the body. Early diagnosis and intervention are crucial for managing these conditions effectively. Some disorders are caused by mutations in a single gene, known as monogenic disorders. These include conditions like cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, and Huntington's disease. Each of these disorders is linked to a specific gene mutation that disrupts normal function, while others are more complex. These complex disorders, or polygenic disorders, involve multiple genes and often environmental factors. Examples include heart disease, diabetes, and many types of cancer. Understanding these disorders requires a comprehensive approach that considers both genetic and lifestyle factors. Cystic fibrosis is an example of a single gene disorder. This condition primarily affects the lungs and digestive system, leading to severe respiratory and nutritional problems. It's caused by a mutation in the CFTR gene, which is responsible for producing a protein that regulates the movement of salt and water in and out of cells. When this gene is mutated, the protein doesn't function properly, which controls the movement of salt and water in cells. This malfunction leads to the buildup of thick, sticky mucus in various organs, particularly the lungs, making it difficult to breathe and increasing the risk of infections. This mutation leads to thick, sticky mucus buildup in the lungs and other organs. Over time, this can cause severe respiratory issues and damage to the lungs, requiring ongoing medical care and treatment. Other disorders like heart disease and some types of cancer are more complex. These conditions result from the interplay between multiple genetic mutations and environmental influences, making them harder to predict and treat. They involve multiple genes and environmental factors. Factors such as diet, lifestyle, and exposure to toxins can all influence the development and progression of these disorders, highlighting the importance of a holistic approach to health. Understanding the inheritance patterns of genetic disorders is crucial for diagnosis, treatment, and genetic counseling. By studying these patterns, scientists and doctors can better predict the risk of passing on genetic conditions and develop targeted therapies to manage or even prevent these disorders. Section 7. Family trees and future health. The importance of inheritance patterns. Knowing how traits and disorders are inherited is incredibly important. It helps us understand why we are the way we are. It also helps us predict the probability of passing on certain traits to our children. Family history plays a big role here. By creating a family tree or pedigree, we can track the occurrence of specific traits across generations. This information can be incredibly valuable, especially for families with a history of genetic disorders. Understanding inheritance patterns helps us make informed decisions about our health and reproductive choices. It allows us to be proactive and seek appropriate medical advice when needed. Section 8. The future of eugenetics and personalized medicine. Genetics is revolutionizing medicine. With advancements in technology, we can now analyze our DNA like never before. This opens up exciting possibilities for personalized medicine. Imagine receiving medical treatments tailored specifically to your genetic makeup. This is the promise of personalized medicine. By understanding our genes, doctors can predict our risk for certain diseases, recommend preventive measures, and even develop personalized treatments. From developing gene therapies for genetic disorders, to tailoring cancer treatments based on tumor genetics, the future of medicine is incredibly exciting and holds the potential to improve human health dramatically. Section 9. Genetics, a universe within. So there you have it. We've journeyed beyond Mendel's peas and explored the fascinating world of non-Mendelian genetics. We've seen how genes interact in complex ways, resulting in a breathtaking array of traits and sometimes even disorders. Remember, genetics is a vast and ever-evolving field. There's still so much we don't know. But one thing is for sure, understanding our genes is key to understanding ourselves, our health, and the future of medicine. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never stop being curious about the incredible universe within every cell of your body.